Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I wanted to share what has been going on over the past 4 months in regards to Angel's health, the constant ups and downs, doctor's appointments, the mystery, as many doctors have called it, of her blood tests, and just all the insanity. Now that we finally have more so a scenario, a clearer scenario and clearer idea of what's going on. So let's take it from the top. So starting from the very top, in late November, Angel started childcare. So this was around the 26th of November. And in early December, the stress from childcare was actually making her go to the toilet literally every 5 seconds. Like, she developed a stress reaction where the moment she was stressed or anxious or scared of anything, she would run to the toilet. Now, during this whole stressful period of December with childcare, she also started having small drops of blood in her stool, and I kind of noticed that it was slowly increasing as the month was progressing. Along with that, I also started noticing that any fruit she would eat, and mostly apples, because she would eat about 5 apples a day and drink about 5 to 10 little bottles of apple juice a day, watered down to 1 part apple juice, 3 parts water, but still apple. I noticed that the fruit was coming out in chunks, so it wasn't being digested properly or even at all. Around, like, just before Christmas, I believe, or maybe it was just after Christmas, I took her to the doctor to kind of have a look at why there was blood in her stool, because I could tell that the blood was increasing, and she was also having a really difficult time on the toilet. Her tummy was hurting, she was looking quite miserable. She preferred to lie down in her bed all day and watch her iPad. She wasn't as active, happy child. She just, yeah, things were definitely not good. And I thought initially that she was really upset because I was trying to get her to go to childcare, but at the same time, there seemed to be something else going on. Now, still in December, in regards to the childcare, I have to say she had just been potty trained, so barely been potty trained, and still didn't know how to wipe herself. She didn't know how to use the toilet properly, and the staff had assured me that they would look after her. And unfortunately, I realized later on that that was not the case. So she was going to the toilet, not wiping properly. She was touching the toilet seat. Just a whole, like, yeah. So pain when she went to the toilet, blood in her stool, diarrhea was, of course, a #1 thing as well this month, as well as the undigested food. Now, once like the Christmas New Year's issue was over, I had taken her to the doctor just before the holidays, I believe it was. And the GP had assured me that there was nothing in her stool, just monitor it. If it gets any worse, take her to a hospital. That was all I got from there. So I kind of allowed the holidays to go by. I didn't take her to childcare again, and I was hoping that maybe over the holidays she would improve, and it was probably stress related. Unfortunately, she started childcare again. She went for a couple of days in the new year, and then we had an entire night, I believe it was around the 10th of January, an entire night where she was literally burning up with a fever all night long. She was burning up with a 40-degree fever. She was insanely pale, dehydrated, weak. She was bringing up green bile. She was on the toilet half the night, crying and holding on to me. It was terrible. And I was like, there's obviously something wrong here. This is not normal. This is not okay. So I took her to the hospital. We went straight to the emergency in the morning, and this was like all night, just struggling. We took her to emergency in the morning and spent the entire day there. Blood tests, specific blood tests, special blood tests. Like, it kind of got crazy after a point, because apparently her blood tests weren't making sense to them. So they were kind of contradicting each other, like different things were raised and lower and contradicting each other. So the doctor started throwing around words such as IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, IBD, which is inflammatory bowel disease, which is way more serious. So either Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. So picture this, we're all 4 of us in the emergency room. So it's me, my husband, Angel, and Iris. And they're telling us that there are all sorts of issues in regards to her bowel, that may be this, or this. All of them very serious, all of them very rare in a 4-year-old, however. As well as the fact that her liver had been somehow impacted. So all the blood test results were also coming back with high inflammatory markers in regards to her liver. So this was all insane. No one knew what was wrong with her. No one could tell us what was wrong with her. The only thing they knew was that, look, go home and we'll contact you for a colonoscopy, because obviously the child is very stressed and keeping her in the hospital won't help her. So I was sent home with no instruction as to how to make her feel better. Nothing. Just go home, keep up what you're doing, keep her hydrated, and we will contact you within a month or so for a colonoscopy. That was all I got. So we came home, and the rest of January was spent with me trying to figure out what made her feel better, what didn't. I kind of cut back on fruit a bit because I felt like there was something wrong when it came to the fruit, but I wasn't really sure. I also started trying things like gluten-free or lactose-free, but again, I was kind of dabbling here and there. I had no idea what I was doing. She was constantly in pain, and there was no sign of improvement. The only difference after the emergency room, randomly, was no blood. So after, like from mid-January moving forward to today, there has been no blood in her stool. And that's also when she stopped childcare. So stop childcare, blood stops. That was weird, but you know. As January progressed, again, I had no idea what I was doing. We were waiting for a call from the hospital to do the colonoscopy. I was feeling very stressed about the colonoscopy because it is very, very, how can I put this? Invasive, especially for a small child. Like, how invasive can a colonoscopy be on a 4-year-old? I didn't even want to think of that. So around the end of January, specifically on the 29th, I believe, we did the blood work. So we went to the doctor. The doctor, our GP at the time, assured us that it was only a bacterial infection, there was nothing wrong, and it would all improve in time. Let's just do a follow-up blood test just to be sure. So we did a blood test on the 29th of January and received the results, I believe, it was probably like maybe end of January, early, like it was probably a couple days later. And I received the results via phone. So the doctor called me and told me everything is fine, everything is pretty good. The only thing you need to worry about is her iron levels. So my child was in pain. We were waiting on a colonoscopy. No one was telling me how to make her feel better or what was wrong with her. And the only thing our GP had to say was that we need to watch her iron levels and that we should go back for a blood test in about 2 months. Keep that in mind. So it was around the same time that I actually had a video appointment with a gastroenterologist in order to discuss the colonoscopy and whether she should get it or not and how we should proceed. I told the gastroenterologist that there was no blood, that the symptoms that were persisting was the pain, abdominal pain, the painful stool. Like when she went to the toilet, she would be in a lot of pain, like a lot of pain. It was heartbreaking. She was constantly miserable, and the fruit was coming out in chunks. And I felt that when she had fruit, this all became worse. And could it be the fructose? And again, the doctor was like, no, there's no way. It's probably IBD, I'm guessing. And, you know, since she had the blood, that's definitely what we need to look into, because blood in a 4-year-old, like, no, it's not a good sign. We need to look into the blood. So she was focused on the blood, and she kept talking about it in a way that kind of made it sound like there was a lot of it. And I kept trying to explain to her that it was a very, very small amount, and she refused to listen. So we ended that call with the idea that eventually we will be doing a colonoscopy and that it's probably IBS or IBD. That's where we left off with that doctor. Time goes by, and we are now at the end of February with a possible colonoscopy happening probably a week from that point. And I called the GP again, and I was like, look, things are not improving. This is not working. She's in a lot of pain when she goes to the toilet. She's also starting to hold her lower back when she's in pain. Things are not progressing very well. Like me without being a doctor, I would think that something is going on with her liver or her kidneys. There is something wrong, the way she's holding her lower back, etc. And all she said to me at the time was, no, it's maybe she's just has a urine infection, like a UTI or something. Let's just check for that. But other than that, I think she should just do the colonoscopy. So I was like, look, something is not working for me. So we decided to go to a different GP. We went to a different doctor, we showed him the older tests, and this is the first time I actually saw Angel's blood tests. So I went to the old GP and printed them out, and then we took them to the new GP. And on the way, I was looking at the results. Her liver was literally like the numbers and the counts of all the enzymes, etc., were showing liver failure. And I was like, what? So we went to the doctor, we showed these results to the new GP, and he was like, okay, something's definitely wrong here. Like, what is going on with her liver and her platelets, and just her blood tests were all over the place. The iron was the least of our worries when it came to her blood tests. And the other GP had told me nothing about this. So we ordered the new GP, our new GP, and now GP. So from now on, when I mention GP, it is the new GP. I am never going to the previous one again. So our GP now, finally, he ordered new tests, etc. And the tests came back actually pretty quickly, I have to admit. Like, it was like within 2 days, we already had the new tests and kind of looking to see, because there was a month in between the blood test that we had in our hands to now. Within that month, her liver, the enzymes of her liver had gone from a 46 to a 529, with the normal levels being below 50. So every single liver enzyme, every single inflammatory signal of the body was on red alert. Everything was like up here instead of being down here. Her liver, she was like an inch from liver failure. And the other GP had told me nothing. So I have a child who, and you can tell, like, once I looked up the symptoms of liver failure after looking at her numbers, it was evident that you could tell she was almost in liver failure. Like, she was one step away from liver failure. 2 days before the second results came back showing us how bad her liver was, I had mentioned to the doctor, the new GP, that, look, this is happening with the fruit, this is happening, this, like, I explained all the symptoms to him again. And he actually said, maybe it is fructose intolerance. So, keeping in mind that all previous doctors, including the previous GP, had assured me that there was no way it was fructose intolerance because that was not a thing, this doctor was like, it could be. She could have some form of fructose intolerance. So, unfortunately though, I think at her age you can't test fructose intolerance because the test is done in a way that needs to, like, you need to control what you're doing, and a 4-year-old probably won't understand 100% in order to do what they have to do. So we basically were just kind of waiting to see the results, waiting to see, could it be celiac disease, could it be one thing, could it be the other thing. No one was being very clear though. Again, even the new GP was kind of like, I don't know what's going on here because these results are just not very clear. Like, they're contradicting each other, they don't make sense. And we reached a point after the new tests came back where he was like, maybe you should just go get the colonoscopy done. If it's celiac disease, she needs an official diagnosis. If it's IBD, the same. She needs medication. Because we had initially said we would change her diet to fructose free and see what happens there, but then he panicked with the liver numbers. At the end of the day though, and I will never forget this, he actually turned around and said to me, so it's your choice. You can either take her to the hospital right now and get a colonoscopy done ASAP, or you can wait a week and get new blood tests done while you're keeping her fructose free and see if that works. So I was like, okay, what do you suggest I do? He never gave me a clear answer, I have to admit. So I decided not to take her to the hospital based on kind of the back and forth of what the doctor was telling me. I decided I was going to give the fructose-free diet a shot. And of course, if I saw any signs of immediate liver failure, of anything like her color, anything changing, I would immediately take her to the hospital. I kind of took it on me at that point, and I don't know, I mean, now I know I was right, but in that moment, I was very, very stressed. I felt in my gut that it was the fructose. I felt that the fructose was doing something, and there was no need for a colonoscopy. So 1 week later, we did the blood tests, and the results actually confirmed what I was thinking, that the fructose, there was a fructose intolerance there. The fructose was not helping. There was something going on, and the only thing that was alleviating her symptoms was a fructose-free diet. So I kind of kept up with the fructose-free diet. We did multiple blood tests, so pretty much on a weekly basis in March, and the GP then referred us to a gastroenterologist so that we could kind of figure things out with a specialist. Now, at the same time, like around mid-March, I also had a phone call from a gastroenterologist from the hospital where we had been to the emergency room, and he kind of questioned why we hadn't done the colonoscopy yet. I mentioned that she was improving a lot. I mentioned the fructose, and he assured me 100% that there was no possible way this was dietary related. There was no way the fructose had impacted her, and I was just wrong. And it was not dietary in any possible way. It could just be a serious autoimmune disease that was simply in remission. But I said to him, doesn't that mean she would need medical treatment? Like, as far as I knew, and I had done a lot of research, I've done a ton of research over these past 4 months, IBD and most of these serious conditions need medical treatment in order to reach remission. They don't just back off by themselves. They simply get worse or stay at a very steady rhythm they don't improve. She was improving very, very distinctly, like she's a whole different child, and there's no medication, no treatment, nothing. He was like, no, there's no way. So I definitely, she might need to do colonoscopy, and there's definitely something going on, and he wasn't listening to me at all, basically. So I was like, fine, okay, whatever. We ended the conversation there. We finally went yesterday to a new gastroenterologist who listened to me. It was unbelievable. I have spoken to so many doctors over the past 4 months that I've probably even forgotten to mention some of them, and no one listened to me at all. Everyone assured me that there was no way she was fructose intolerant. There was no way that it was dietary. There was like, if it was dietary, it was gluten or lactose. It couldn't be fructose. And I finally spoke to this man who said to me, after I explained all the symptoms to him, he said to me, okay, so obviously we have a fructose intolerance. It could be primary, it could be secondary. So it could be caused from whatever caused the blood, etc. Or it could have just happened to happen simultaneously. However, what he said was this: the blood initially in December and early January was obviously an infection of some sort, which is why the blood, because fructose intolerance does not cause bleeding. The fact that the blood stopped and her symptoms are improving drastically is an indication that whatever the infection was is gone. However, what we are now dealing with is the leftovers. So her gut was significantly hurt by this, and the fructose, the high amounts of fructose she was already consuming at the time, turned into a fructose intolerance, making it impossible for her gut to heal. So basically right now what we are doing is we are treating her as fructose intolerant, keeping her on a very, very extremely low to zero fructose diet. And we are constantly checking her blood tests, etc., watching everything go down, because everything is going down. Everything is going where we want it to go. Everything is improving and heading in the direction that we want it to go. He did say it would probably take another month to 2 months for this to actually improve at the point where it's practically gone. But she seems to be healing, and it seems to be that I literally found the one thing that made her feel better. Because apparently even when you have gastroenteritis, like gastro or any bacterial infection in your gut, going onto a lactose-free as well as a low-sugar diet helps the gut heal, because fructose is very hard to digest, and when you have when you have a hurt gut basically, and the fructose is coming through, it's already hard enough on a healthy gut, let alone on a gut that has been impacted by so many other issues. So it could be the fructose intolerance was caused by this whole situation and is a side product, or it could be that she would have come up with a fructose intolerance anyway, and they've just kind of like fed off of each other and made each other worse. But beside the point, they are two separate things that are definitely making something worse. So staying away from fructose is helping her gut heal, and the fructose intolerance is also feeling better. So she's not having the fructose intolerance symptoms, which are abdominal pain, diarrhea, and as well as a foggy head and just feeling miserable, as well as a liver impact. So it can impact the liver. So generally, it all comes down to the fact that she caught a bug or something in December. No one caught it, no one realized what it was at the time when they should have, and no one listened to me when I was talking about the fructose intolerance symptoms. Yeah, this bubba's getting tired. But yeah, so no one listened to me when they should have. I figured out by myself that there was such a thing as fructose intolerance. I figured out by myself that, like, what foods not to give her, what to avoid, and I will make a whole separate video specifically on the fructose intolerance and how I figured that out. But and what I do for it. Oh, okay, hello, because this one's not having it. But right now we are at a stage where it seems she is healing, and it would seem that going on a fructose-free diet is the only thing that made her feel better, and her body is healing on its own. Yeah? So anyway guys, we are on the road to recovery. I will make a follow-up video just talking specifically about the fructose intolerance, because it is incredibly interesting. It's insane, to be honest. And yeah, doctors need to listen to parents more. That's what I have to say. Because she would have done a colonoscopy for no reason. Like, she would have been put under, and I don't even want to think about it, honestly. But yeah, so that is what has been happening with Angel. It is crazy. This video, I'm thinking, is as short as I could get it to be, honestly. If you guys, this video is as short as I could get it. I mean, it's just, I think the insanity of doctors just telling you that no, you're absolutely wrong, there's no way this is happening, and then it's insane. Having kids is insane, and the level of research I had to do is also insane. And no one listened to me. This one's not having it anymore. So I will leave you guys, and I will see you in the next video. We have a whole lot of fructose-free stuff to talk about, and just intolerances and things that can happen when you have kids, and I never knew this existed. So there you go. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.